John Bailey. The final score at Villa Park, Aston Villa 1, City 0. Well, let's go back to the studio and we can join Natalie with Davy James and Emile Heskey.
Welcome back to Matchday Live. I'm still in the studio joined by David James and Emile Heskey. Big thank you to Alistair Mann and Sean Gota for the wonderful commentary this evening. So City have been beaten by a hugely impressive Aston Villa side. David, how do you assess City's performance this evening?
Well, I think Alistair Mann got it absolutely right in commentary there. I mean, Villa deserved to win the game. Unfortunately, City had two shots in the game, both at the pretty much same time from Erling Haaland in the first half, but just couldn't get anything out of it. And you look at those records, 13 in a row prior to today's game, and you think maybe City should be the team that stops that run, but Villa showed why it's such a tough place to go to at the moment.
And I thought that Villa were fantastic. I didn't know if they could actually keep that intensity up. And I think they heard his pre-match talk about Villa, didn't they? Yeah, I didn't think they could keep that intensity up, but they were fantastic. That intensity, really going pressing, really being aggressive, understanding what the manager wants, and to get at home to have against Man City. Let's say no bones about it. They're arguably the best team at this moment in time. So to get 22 shots against a team like that is fantastic. But it shows you how good they can be and how good they are at this moment in time and how good they can be. And obviously, this is their home fixtures and home. We all know that at Villa Park, the fans are outstanding when they're on your side, and they showed that again today.
They certainly did. We're going to go straight over back to Villa Park now, where FG and Darius Vassell are pitchside.
Defeat at Villa Park, Aston Villa 1, Manchester City 0. Darius, what are your thoughts?
Disappointing, obviously, for Manchester City. I'm proud of Villa. I think they did deserve the victory today. And Man City were looking to go in at half-time without conceding, but I thought they came out strong. And unfortunately conceded at a really bad time, City, so they weren't able to get the goal back.
The goal that we did concede was just when we brought on Mateo Kovacic and Matheus Nunes, and it looked like we had a bit more about us in midfield, and it looked like we were going to create a little bit more, didn't it?
Certainly, I think they made a difference. We said, didn't we? Kovacic straight away gave the midfield a bit more energy, a bit more purpose, a bit more desire, and then Villa break away and score with a deflected goal. Football's like that sometimes.
Football can be extremely cruel, but we've got two games now, Luton away on Sunday and then Crystal Palace in the league before the Club World Cup. It's a chance to win two in a row and get some momentum back, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. You asked me at the start of the game, is this a must-win game for City? Not so much, but these next two, I think now we're getting there. They need some results now just to get that energy back.
Defeat at Villa Park, but all is not lost. Like we said, there's still two games to go. Darius, thank you for joining me pitchside. Let's head back to the studio.
Cheers.
Thank you very much to FG and to Darius Vassell. Short and sweet by them at the end there, but it looks like FG's just absolutely fed up. Cannot blame him this evening. City beaten by Villa at Villa Park. Aston Villa just on an incredible 14 wins at home in a row now, which is a new club record for them. Before we go on to dissect City's performance, David, we really should give Aston Villa credit this evening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I've seen City lose games. I mean, we all have, but we've seen City, create a lot of problems, and I don't think Aston Villa let them. Like Em said before the game, I mean, they get stuck in from the front to the back. Everyone gets stuck in, made it very, very difficult for City to actually get any kind of momentum in the game. They look confident. The fans are confident. I mean, City fans should know exactly how this feels because they've done this to other teams for many years. So Aston Villa are going through a bit of a City run, aren't they, with their home form at the moment? And strangely, I think they'll be chucked obviously now into an argument of whether they could even win the title. I think they're away. Well, I mean, they're up there, aren't they? And this is the thing. They're in a position where they're challenging for the title. And I think for Villa fans, it's definitely new territory. I would argue their away form isn't good enough, but they showed today at home. If you're going to go to Villa Park, then you've got to come with a better plan.
Arsenal are going to go to Villa Park at the weekend, Emile. If if Villa can beat Arsenal, then I think they have to be in the conversation.
I think they are in the conversation, and I think it's great that you've got several teams in the conversation. For far too long, we've seen arguably City just running away with it, Liverpool pushing them even further and making a big gap between the top two and the rest, kind of thing. But it's nice to see 4 or 5 clubs in for a shout and them beating each other. Because again, it makes it exciting. You want to go right to the wire. I'm from Leicester, so I understand when Leicester won it, and I was there sitting there at Christmas time saying, "Oh no, they'll probably fall away at Christmas." Then you go a few months, "Oh no, they'll fall away now," and they kept going. So it'll be nice to see these teams just keep going, keep pushing each other, and having 4 or 5 teams in for a shout probably towards the end of the season.
Nice for you. I'm absolutely fine with City running away with it. Like, I've not got a problem with that in the slightest. What do you think went wrong for City tonight, though, David?
Well, Alistair mentioned there the absence of Rodri in the middle, and I didn't think that was going to be as impactful as it was, and arguably it shouldn't have been. But the absence of Jack Grealish as well, I think, was probably what made it difficult, because we're talking about in the first half, and you come in at 0-0 and you're thinking, okay, we got on top of it, they'll sort it out in the second half. That midfield just did not get control of Aston Villa's midfield, and whatever that formation was, 3 at the back, 5 dropping back into defence, Villa had too much time on the ball, too much opportunities to be creative, and ultimately too many shots. And the irony of it all is that Ederson's had a fantastic game, and the goal that goes past him is a wicked deflection.
Yeah.
I used to hate defenders sticking their legs out like that.
Really?
Well, because it causes deflections, unless they block it.
You don't want him to get anything in front of it, though?
If he doesn't touch it, then Ederson saves it. It wasn't in the corner, it was going pretty central. And it's frustrating because Diaz is only doing what defenders normally do. But as I say, in the end, I'm not saying Villa are lucky because it was a lucky goal, but with 22 plus shots against 2 for City, then the statistics, they deserve to win the game. But that midfield, and I mean, fortunately Rodri will be back on the weekend. They've got to go to Luton. I was there last night.
We'll get into that. Yes, yes, a must-win game now for City. I'm saying.
And Luton, yeah.
And Luton, yes. Yeah, I agree with David there, Emile. In no way am I saying that Aston Villa did not deserve to win this game this evening, but the goal that they ended up scoring was a wicked deflection.
Yeah. But again, they always say if you don't shoot, you don't get the opportunity to score, and that's what he did. He got latched onto a ball, made a really, really good run with it, driving towards the box, little check back. And you've got to take that little swipe at it, and you never know what's going to happen. And obviously a wicked deflection taken. You can see it as soon as he's taken the deflection. I was thinking, can you really make another movement as a goalkeeper to try?
Oh
and
no, Eddie was gone.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So it's one of those ones that there's nothing you can do about it.
There was nothing Ederson could do about that one, but yeah, gosh, he had a good game. Rodri, we've mentioned him. You mentioned him there, David. I think it's the last 5 times now that Rodri hasn't played, City have lost. It's either 5 or 4, forgive me. I'm trying to blank it out of my memory already. It is 5. He is such a key part of this team, isn't he?
Well, I think David, Jamo mentioned it before, you have a spine. So you have things going right through the middle. And he's that central part of it. And once you start taking that part of, and they say it's the engine. They say games can be won and lost, and I think you'd probably say that today. Games can be won and lost in the midfield, and if you can't control that part of the midfield, and you're saying one player, no, but he's a pivotal part of that part of that jigsaw.
What I find interesting about the way that the formation was working, as I say, you've got Akanji in the middle. In offence, and then when they were defending, Akanji's dropping back into defence. So he's playing in 2 different roles, and Rodri doesn't do that. Occasionally he might be in a defensive line set up with players that are out of position, but you're asking a lot of players to do a lot of things. And I'm not saying that they're not intelligent enough or not good enough to do it, but it was too much today. And the other thing about these defeats, there's another player who I haven't mentioned, KDB. So in the past, Rodri missing, you've had KDB in there. So today you've got KDB out, obviously, Rodri out, and Jack Grealish unavailable. So you've got a lot of, and Doku's out. So
I think
there's a lot of players missing in a very quick period of time. So, yeah, not making excuses. Villa deserve to win it.
And I think the wing is where a lot of City's play, good play, is getting done. And when you look at it today, there wasn't really much on the wings.
Bernardo hardly did a lot out one side. Jack didn't. Phil didn't. Obviously replaced.
Well, Phil's more of an inside player, isn't he? Whereas you want people out wide, taking players on, overlapping, etc., etc. And really didn't see much of that today. But it was. But again, you got to take your hat off to Villa because they stopped them as well.
Yeah, I think we've heard a lot this season about Tottenham's injuries, about Newcastle's injuries, but we are having our own mini injury, crisis. Kevin De Bruyne remains one of the best footballers in the world, and we've not had him all season. And then, as you say, when you top that up with, Doku is injured today. We've had Jack, who's been out ill, obviously suspended tonight, but he's been out ill. John Stones is just coming back. We've had our own core of problems. Now, I'm going to turn that, as I like to do, to try and be optimistic and say, we get a fully fit squad, we're going to be all right.
Yeah, I think, and the problem with today's game, when you put everything in the context, I mean, they've played a few days ago, and then within the game that you've played, you've lost 2 players through suspension, and then 1 player through injury, and that gives you no time at all to actually prepare. And there's moments in that game where it looked like they hadn't worked on this, even to the point, and I say it was humorous at the time, but when Oscar Bob's going on, Pep's given him loads and loads of instructions, which suggests that he hasn't had time to go through the training with him. It's not like he's going onto a normal City lineup because you haven't got 3 of your normal players in there. So there's circumstances which kind of allow you to get away with it in a sense, but being optimistic, these players will be back for the next match, at least 2 of them, against Luton.
Yes, because the time of year that we are in, the games are coming thick and fast, and I'm taking that as a huge positive because the sooner we can get back to winning ways, the better. So we take on Luton. It is on Sunday. It is at Kenilworth Road, a 2 p.m. UK time kickoff. Matchday Live will be here. I will be here with Keith Curl and with Jolien Lescott. And we have a very special Matchday Live because we are sending FG down on a minibus. And he's taking on his Legends minibus. You ready for this? Paul Dickoff, Gareth Taylor, Sean Gota, Michael Brown, Nicky Weaver and Andy Morrison, because they are the last Manchester City team, or part of the last Manchester City team, to play Luton. And Andy Morrison was the goal scorer, the winning goal scorer it was 1-1. Andy Morrison was the scorer that day for a 1-1 game. Hopefully it's not 1-1 on Sunday, but it's going to be a brilliant, brilliant show. FG will be having a fabulous day with all the legends as they travel down to watch Luton. I'm here in the studio, Jolien Lescott and Keith Curl. So we'll come straight to you, David. You were there, first of all, watching the Arsenal versus Luton game.
Yep.
I mean, from looking at it, from reading about it, it seemed like a thriller.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the one thing about Luton is that they have made everyone work very hard to get anything. I know, obviously, they're in the bottom 4 now, I think, because Burnley lost as well, didn't they? But it's a tough place to go, and the City will not have any favours given to them by Luton. Interestingly, again, because Villa are playing Arsenal on the weekend, if Arsenal play like they played against Luton last night, Villa will beat them. Because it is at Villa Park again. But with regards to what City will come up against, a lot of direct play, a lot of physicality, but also, even though I do support Luton Town, Luton do make mistakes, and therefore it's up to City to capitalise on them to get the 3 points. Because next weekend, as you say, a win for Manchester City, invariably you could get a draw or even a Villa win. I mean, with Arsenal and Villa, it sort of concertinas that top 4 position to make an interesting Christmas.
Will we be facing, do you think, Emile, like we did tonight, the crowd at Villa Park, the belief that they made so much noise? We know that Luton is a smaller ground. We hear everybody talking about, the type of ground that it is, and everybody that's going is so lucky. I would love to be there on Sunday. Are we going to have to fight against the crowd again on Sunday? Always,
especially when you're at smaller clubs. Gemma doesn't like me saying them smaller club, but they're
a Premier League club. How big do you want them to be?
But yeah, I think they will always get behind their team, and they'll always make themselves known. I remember playing at Filbert Street. What was it, 21,000? But it sounded like it was 40. but and they're very close on top of you. I love them stadiums where it's like literally feel like they can touch you. There's a certain pressure that comes with that, but you thrive off that as well. So I think as players, we love all that sort of stuff, and I think they'll definitely get behind them and spur them on.
There is another factor as well. I mean, the interesting thing is because there's such a smaller crowd, you're not used to playing in front of smaller crowds. You kind of walk out and everything's small, and it takes you a little while genuinely, it takes you a little while to adjust to playing at a smaller stadium, weirdly.
And you could probably hear people more as well.
Yeah, you can actually hear each individual. Which, thinking back to Crawley, I still don't know who that guy was, but yeah. I'm sure he likes me now.
Yes. It's fair to say, I think, that Luton's season is not going to be judged on how the scores against the teams at the top. If Luton are going to survive, it's going to be because they're going to beat the teams that are around them. So is this essentially a free hit for them, and does that give them more freedom?
Well, if you saw them last night, no, they have to. I kind of know this. The home games are the ones that they think they can get points off, and I don't think they care who they get them off. In the sense that last night was a drop point against Arsenal, but they'll just make games very, very tough. Interestingly, Arsenal are the only team that scored 2 goals against them in the first half last night, which. Well, yeah, but
honestly, every game he's on.
For a team that are in the position they're in, you'd think that one or two teams would have beaten them 3 or 4 and been easily in the lead at half time. Every game's been really tough, and if there's any weakness in that City side, I'm not going to say they'll sniff it out, but they'll try and exploit it somewhere. But as I say, the frustration being a Luton fan is they'll give Man City chances, and Man City, if they're anywhere near what they can be, they'll take advantage of that. So.
We've been, perhaps, I think it would be fair to say, we've been a little bit wasteful with chances in the last few games, though. So if we're going to get chances, we're going to need to get our shooting boots back on again.
Today was, as Em pointed out, 100% shots on target. Can't beat that stat.
Okay.
We're definitely going to have to start taking them chances again. It will only take one just going in, and then that confidence builds a little bit, and that's when you start getting more and more chances, and then you'll see the goals flying in again. We've seen it time and time again. There'll be little blips where you're creating chances, and you're thinking, I can't score, can't hit the target. But then there'll be times where everything goes in for you. I'm sure Jamo's thinking that time doesn't come against Luton, but it might.
I think that the key thing is it's not getting, and it sounds slightly ironic, not getting stressed by it, because it's not like City are an average team or having a bad run. This is the fantastic best team in the world. Well, they'll prove that in a few weeks' time. But if you get stressed by it, then you're allowing things to happen. I think. You're going to have bad runs in the season. It's not the first bad run in the season or in a season for City, and the quality will come to the top. So, it's fine.
We're just giving everyone a little bit of a head start. Giving everyone a little bit of hope. Yeah. I think it's quite generous of us, really. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. David James, thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Emile Heskey, thank you. Please, will you come back and join us again?
Definitely.
We'd love to have you again. Thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us on another Match Day Live. It wasn't to be today for City as Aston Villa jump us in the table. But as I was saying, I always remain positive, because come Sunday, Rodri will be back. Jack will be back. And very, very shortly, I don't know that. Hopefully shortly, Kevin De Bruyne will be back as well. So all is not lost. Congratulations to Aston Villa this evening. We'll be back on Sunday as we take on Luton. Between now and then, if you haven't started watching the wonderful City Forever documentary, get that now on City Plus. It's all about the new statue, Summerby, Lee and Bell. You need to watch it. We'll see you on Sunday.
When I speak to people about them, they say how special they was for the club.
For me, they meant a lot.
Absolutely 3 legends of the football club.
He made the goal that made the cup possible.
How do we recognise the importance and significance of Colin, Francis and Mike?